everybody please settle down. These are some basic questions I think every parent, every grown-up wants to know about the children, and we perhaps have the best panel here. My children have gone through these hands, and I have noticed one thing, that people who are educating children, like these three wonderful ladies here, Vandana, Leena and Jyoti, that they look after our kids, know about their future, even perhaps more than the parents can ever do. So thank you very much for having done this for years. And there are a few questions that I think everybody feels are relevant when we talk about kids. The first question, and any of you can take it. We won't go in order of color or any other order. But the first question is, how important, because Kidzania is an experience like this. When I was growing up, one never thought of a place like this. Your schools, whenever I visited or come down with my children, I noticed there is a huge element of fun. And one wants to understand how important is fun in education, not only for the younger kids, but as the kids go older. So whichever one of you would like to.
If you ask me as a head of a school, I think education is a combination of entertainment and education. And I think that until and unless you don't add fun to the learning process, it's no longer interesting for today's children. So you will see a lot of teaching techniques. You will see a lot of technology into the classrooms. And when I think back of my days, we went to a class where there was just plain blackboards and 4 walls. But today you will see there's a huge interactive board. Children get an opportunity to drag, drop, work in groups, and definitely try and learn things more with interaction and collaboration. And enjoy learning. There are rap songs, which I didn't have during my time. And when we talk about learning, also you will find children challenging the teachers, asking questions in a classroom, asking questions like, why do we burp? When they're learning about digestive systems. So you will find that learning and teaching has changed drastically in today's times. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I think just to collaborate that, somewhere down the line when there is no openness between teachers and students, where they can really interact with them directly and have fun and know that there's not like a master and a smaller relationship between people who are teaching them, I think kids learn better. I remember when I was growing up, the nicest learnings I have had from the teachers who are not actually teaching me, but post-school, the ones that I could have fun with. And they taught me a lot. Take this one.
I believe as educators, we're always forced to prove concepts. And the main reason why fun works, from a science point of view, is whenever we have fun, we release a chemical in our brain called dopamine. And when we release this, that's how we become addicted to things like dancing or singing or anything that we enjoy doing. The second thing that happens in a place like Kidzania or in classrooms that actually work is kids get a direct connection between learning and real life. And that's when learning comes alive for them, and that's when they start enjoying it, and that's when they release lots of happiness chemicals and get addicted to learning.
Wonderful. And actually, we can go on and on about this, because I have a lot of personal experiences of my own. If I may ask you, why do you think children can impact social change or can create a set of mind, not only for the future, I think including the parents? How can they bring about change? Why are they so important that they will bring change?
We talk about children as the future of a country. But it is very important right now that we mold them in such a way that they secure their present, so that they make their own challenges and they control their own challenges. And that is how that, as you have asked, that children, as you asked about the fun, in the classroom. Now, when we have children in the class, you cannot restrict certain subjects with respect to fun. What is happening is learning by doing is something which we have incorporated in our studies, in our curriculum, where every subject where you go for, it is learning by doing, learning by fun. That is what,
Yeah, and I think this is a very important part. We always keep talking about, and for parents, It's, is it off, school time over? I think that's a very, very important part she makes, that we think of children as just the future. We never realize how important it is that they should be secure in their present. Because if they're secure in their present, the choices, the decisions they will take actually is going to make for a better future. But if they're not secure now, if they don't feel happy, they don't feel satisfied, they're disturbed, they don't know what's happening around them, they're not focused, I think the future itself starts getting very tainted. So I think instead of looking for kids as a future that we are looking forward to and hoping for them to emulate parents and become doctors because we wish them to, sportsmen because we want them to, I think we just need to make them secure as to what they're doing now. I think that's extremely important. Again, because I can't choose who to answer, who to ask this, but do you think kids are getting smarter in terms of so many other things, like specifically environment? My kids come back from school, not even now they're older, but when they were younger too, I found them being extremely aware of environment. Unlike, sad to say, I wasn't at all.
I think most schools today around the country are very conscious about global warming and are very conscious about what's happening. So you will see small things that schools do. For example, in our school at Podar, it's 150 hours of community service is mandatory, and part of it is also protecting the environment. So they come up with solar cookers, and that's a new concept. And they actually learn how to cook using solar cookers. They also learn small things like saving water. And we were doing an inquiry-based learning on water. And this mother called up and said, I'm so happy to see that my child actually fired the maid servant for keeping the tap open and washing clothes. So,
I get fired for that while shaving a lot.
and putting off lights. I think, it's so much instilled at school that definitely it makes a great impact on the larger community, which is very important because we know what's happening in today's time. And I think it's very important to instill these kind of values in today's kids. Difficult, they do pool, we do encourage them to carpool, use the school bus, and try our best to initiate. But I must say, they go back home and they correct their grandparents, the maids, and the parents.
You tell me, I was asking, are the kids smarter nowadays, not just on subjects like environment because they're being taught that, but are they basically smarter? Have they evolved to be a smarter species? And if they have, then how can teachers be teaching them if they're smarter than us already?
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing, but I find it difficult now to teach my son, who's of course post-10th, but even when he was a 7th and 8th, it became difficult for me to teach, and I was a good student. I was a good I studied hard.
Let me tell you, you're a wonderful father.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, before I answer your question, one of the things I think is really important is someone like Shahrukh, with his schedule, made time to come to school for every function, for every special event. Every time his kids needed him, he was there. So I think we admire you more in the avatar of being a fabulous father than for anything else.
No, don't say that. People stop watching my films.
Kids have become more aware. Whether they become smarter or not, obviously the brain's got a little bit more evolved. But I find it fascinating that when I was a 16-year-old visiting here from Australia, I was trendy cool. But today you go to the interiors of India, everyone's trendy cool. I think because of the internet, access to information, just the whole world's become more aware, just not just kids, everybody. But yeah, kids today, I think parents like you are not operating with kids out of from a space of fear, where kids are befriending you rather than, being scared of you as a parent. And therefore, I think kids have got a lot more confident. They question a lot more. Somebody once said, kangaroo kids are very arrogant. And I said, could you explain what you mean? And she said, well, anything you ask them, they say, why? Go to sleep, why? Eat your dinner, why? I said, well, if the parents stop to answer, kids would stop questioning. But yeah, kids question a lot more today than they used to.
I think that's a point all parents and everyone should take in mind, that somehow through evolution or maybe the efforts that people have made over the years, maybe the parents and grandparents, kids are becoming smarter, and we need to treat them as equals. We need to allow them to be able to, I always say this, the two things that children should be allowed to say openly is why and I don't know. You know, because we scare our children too much that, listen, if you don't have the ability to say I don't know, I don't think you'll have the ability to learn. And that's an important part. I'd carry on, maybe the last question, then we'll move on to, I'd like to know how are there any thoughts that you have in mind, apart from obviously parents doing it, teachers doing it, but in general day to day, to create a little more community awareness amongst children. You know, we'll have efforts like this. Unfortunately, India does not have enough. Inshallah, as the years go by, people will develop that. But is there any other thoughts that you have between children so that we have a better community as they grow older?
Before I go for that, let me share a small experience that I have. My children visited Kidzania last month, and there was this child, 6 years old. He comes to me and says, Madam, is it possible that we stay back at Kidzania and come back home next day? With a hope and, you know, tingling in the eyes, I thought, let me not despair him. So I said, yes dear, I will really speak to the management of Kidzania and get back to you, and next time when we have the picnic at Kidzania, we will really see that we have a one-day stay. So this is the platform where I get across, so that I put this point towards the management. And regarding the community service, change is inevitable. So children are the agent, as we always know. So every small thing that we do in the classroom has to reflect in the actions they do outside, whether it is towards their household members or towards the society. As ma'am has already pointed out, maybe the cleanliness ideas, or maybe about the global warming. So these are the various topics, and maybe about the security of each and every child. So that is very important. So we are highlighting that through various indoor and outdoor activities. Maybe this is one concept that has been introduced by Kidzania. So where children of 6 years old, they don't know what a career is. But after they visit Kidzania, they know that it is not only MBBS or not only engineering. It is something like the child comes to me and says, ma'am, I would like to be a chef after making a donut here. So I think that's a good change. So this awareness can be spread to all the other children who are put across.
Can I just add one thing? We're all parents of very privileged kids. I mean, we've all come from privileged backgrounds, and I think what you're raising is a very important point, in the sense that we need to be able to teach kids empathy and gratefulness for where they are and who they are and how they can actually lift the world beyond themselves.
Yeah, I think that's an important part. You know, we keep on thinking as adults about our social commitments and community services. I think if we teach our children this equality, and as Leena said, we are a set of very privileged parents. God has been more than kind to us to be able to allow us affordance of aspects like this place, great schooling, great teachers, and there are lots more children around the country, around the world, who don't have access to this. But if we can train our kids to understand and have empathy, maybe it'll spread faster and better for the country and for all of us. Have lots more children who, as we always keep claiming, are the future, will understand, learn, and community service does not become just a service, it becomes a way of life for our children. Instead of us having to tell them that this is a subject, instead of having to push them and goad them on to do something, I think it should just become a way of life that we share, and share equally with the other ones who are not as privileged as we are.
And just one more thing. When kids see parents being compassionate and understanding and grateful, kids automatically start going into the same mold. I remember Divya once telling me that she was at the airport at the same time you were, and you had this throng around you, but you waited and you helped her lift her bag off the conveyor belt, and I mean, you've touched that life forever. And obviously you're doing it for your kids all the time.
No, thank you. I mean, I think this is very enlightening. If there's anything else you'd like to add on, their parents here, or any other aspect that I have not touched upon. I mean, the subject is very vast, we can go on and on. But keeping paucity of time in mind, I'm also not to push you too much, to give, everyone think teachers are giving lectures at Kidzania instead of having fun. So if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Maybe you can share some of your experiences in your school days, what really made you be what you are today. And I'm sure many children in the audience look up to you. So what's that one thing, Shahrukh, that took you to where you are today?
Okay, so I'll tell all the children, because when I say these things, my team backstage says, you can't be saying this to children. You can't be. I was at Swai Mansingh school about 4 or 5 days back in Jaipur, and I was talking to kids. But I'd like to tell every child here and every parent here, you should be extremely naughty if you want to succeed in life. You have to be extremely
Wow, that's good.
but without harming anyone. My father and mother taught me that every trick in the book, every prank in the book, every little indiscipline in the book, you should do without harming anyone. And when it comes to harm, you can't even harm your teachers, you can't harm their timetable, you can't harm the attention span of other people. So whatever naughtiness you want to do, please do, go ahead. Because if you are not going to be naughty, I remember when I was in, I was beginning to do my first year of masters, and we used to make films. I was in a journalism and filmmaking college, Jamia Millia, for mass communication. And our teachers used to tell us to make socially relevant films, about anti-dowry, which is right, women empowerment, healthy food, healthy habits, all the good things. And I remember telling my teacher, I said, see, once I pass out from here, all my life I'm going to do this. So can I make something which is completely inconsequential while I'm in school and college? And I think I wanted to make, it's an old video, which most of you won't know the song. I think it was Paul Young or something like that. Every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. It was a romantic song. So I wanted to make a video where, as I sing the song, a part of my nose goes away, my ears goes away, and things just disappear. I wasn't allowed. I still will make it one day. I wish I was in school. So I think all teachers and all parents should allow their children to be as naughty, as silly, as stupid, as nonsensical or foolish or whatever they want to be. Because when you grow up, the more you are experiencing naughtiness in your younger life, I think it gets out of your system, and then you become a little more staid. And not that I have become any better. I'm still extremely ill-mannered, not the best role model perhaps. And because we are here, and because children are here, and I know parents like me and children like me, and I would say this on behalf of my kids, please do not ever smoke. Smoking is the worst habit that you can ever have. So even for trials and genuinely, yes, I should quit too, yes. I should be the first one to quit, and inshallah I will try my best. And if the best is not good enough, I'll try even harder. But I just want to say, when you're young, you want to try out new things. You want to try out things which are supposedly banned by the elders. Don't go here, you want to go there. Don't go there, and you want to do everything that you're told not to. Try it. Do it in moderation. As a matter of fact, the open relationship that parents can have with their children is, and I've done that, I don't know if it's good or bad, but you can come and ask your parent, is it okay for me to indulge in this banned thing right now and find out for myself what it is? I think that kind of openness will keep you, parents, better informed. Plus, I think, once that thing is over and done with, I don't think children want to do it anymore. Very few kids get on to have bad habits like mine. So that's one thing. Be naughty and enjoy yourself, and be open with your parents. Remember this one thing, the only person who's going to stand by you in times of trouble, including bad marks in exams, in tests, failing, coming last, first are your parents, or even more than them, I think. First are your teachers, and second are your parents. So you can go and tell them, I failed, I did wrong, and they will never judge you. They'll just make you better, that's all. So
I'd also like to add, Shahrukh, teacher, parents and grandparents, I think even they play a very important role in today's time with a lot of working parents. I see grandparents standing outside the school.
Every parent should somehow educate themselves in this aspect. See, if you have to, the sites which are not meant to be seen by children. That's fun too. You're adults, you can do it. But I think there should be a little bit of understanding that you introduce the element of these kind of sites and these kind of imagery to your kids already. So they don't find it something which is banned Because I can assure you, kids can crack any kind of code or password that you put, and they want to do it even more because you've done it. And there are too many amenities now, too many instruments that they can do it. So be careful, be open, find out yourself what are the things you do not like your children to see it yourself, and kind of introduce it to them gently and explain it to them. This is perhaps not the best thing to do at this age. That's one thing. That's the last one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Bless you.
And
Thank
on
you.
that
Thank you so
note-
much.
Thank you all for some incredible and extremely interesting insights. We look forward to incorporating this in Kidzania, Mumbai.